Over the past year and a half, I've been working on a docu-series about Latino identity. It's called Negro, and it explores colorism, racism, the history of colonization, and the deep-seated color complex that pervades Latin America and the African diaspora in Latin America. And it seems like it's so many different topics, but they're all interrelated, and one influence or inform the next issue. So it takes the viewer on the historical context of the color complex because it came from colonization. So then you expand to different issues that manifest from that, such as pelo malo, bad hair, mejorando la raza, these ideas of improving the race by race mixing or adding white into the mix will improve your status. So these are all issues deeply ingrained and pervasive in Latin America. However, we don't really talk about it. And if it is done, it's behind closed doors, it's with trusted family or friends, if even that, because some of the people I interviewed can't even have these conversations with their family and friends. So this is a huge part of our different cultures and societies in Latin America, but you hardly see a representation in terms of spurring dialogue on these topics. So the series does that, and it opens up the floor to these deeply ingrained issues that we've had and continue to have. This project is important to me because I see these issues every day among Latinos here in the U.S., people in Latin America. However, I never had any of these issues in my family. And I said, wow, how fortunate am I to have never even known what the term pelo malo was. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know that in certain circles, or I guess not certain circles, but the pervasive idea that dark skin is bad. I didn't know what that was. There was nothing negative associated with my color in my family. And I didn't know that there were so many issues regarding this color complex until I spoke to others. It wasn't in my family. So I felt a responsibility for someone who was so fortunate to have that positive reinforcement of being proud of my ancestry, my African ancestry, where I came from. Fortunate enough to have that solid familial foundation that now I have the medium to allow people to express their pain, their experiences, their lived experiences with all of these topics, because I didn't have to go through it. So I guess I come from a privileged place in that regard, that I didn't have to deal with this because I was empowered from birth. That I didn't think or had to go through that process. So it's important because, and as many people that I've interviewed, I say, wow, I'm so grateful that you're so personal with your stories, and they thank me. I stick a camera in their face. I'm like, okay, so tell me about this. What did your mother say to you? And they tell me all these negative and hurtful things that spawn from the whole colonization, the whole white supremacy that pervades Latin America. Now on a local level, individual level, in their families. And they're thanking me for putting it out to the world to see. So it's important to me, and it's also important to other people whose voices have been silenced, has not even acknowledged that there is a voice to be heard in the first place. And just people that never get a chance to express their side of the story. They're finally being able to tell their own stories from their own mouths. And that's extremely important. a filmmaker. When people are like, oh, the filmmaker dash, I'm like, who is that? Because I'm a journalist first. I've always had an affinity for writing. When I got to undergrad at Temple University, the best university, great journalism program. I had to pick which form of journalism that I wanted to study, and I was having problems. I said, oh, I really like to write, but then I said, you know what, broadcast journalism has the most far-reaching effects, because from my freshman year when I entered college, they said, oh, print is going out of style. They're laying off people left and right, and I said, well, I want a job. So, and then also practically speaking, broadcast is more far-reaching than print. Not everyone reads, unfortunately, but more people will watch TV, they'll watch a video online. So I said, oh, this is more powerful. Radio, TV, that seems to be more powerful in spreading messages. So I said, okay, I'll do broadcast journalism. And so I did that for a few years, and I actually quit my job in broadcast news because I felt this was important. And so I switched. I don't think I switched because I think film is basically a elongated version of journalism. And so I continued my journalistic work in a digital video broadcast format. First and foremost, I wanted to educate people, enlighten people, and to also empower people, because I feel when people hear other people speaking about their stories, they say, hey, wait a minute, I have a story too. And with that, with the education piece, it's about spreading awareness. I mean, for so long we've been taught that education is only reserved for the privileged, the people with the money, the elite. As we see with our capitalistic system here, you have to pay to go to college, you have to pay to even get an education. I don't agree with that. So education is free. So the work that I do, I hope to educate, enlighten, and empower people as, well, that's part of the education process, right? That was alliteration. So basically spreading knowledge. And then that allows people to then feel compelled to investigate more for themselves and to truly find where their interests lie. So this work actually is interesting because throughout my research doing this project, I thought I was empowered before. I'm a trillion times more empowered and more aware and more proud just by virtue of learning more about my own ancestry, my own history, because I knew some about my history. But of course, because I have to do research, I have to research where all of these issues come from, even more so, do a lot of readings, talk to people, find out more. It has empowered me more to take more of a stance on where I come from, what I believe in, the people who I surround myself with, the work that I choose to become involved in. All of it is deliberate. Nothing is by accident. So now I feel like I'm a more informed activist and scholar. I feel that I've grown tremendously as an individual these past 2 years. Being able to be immersed, like completely immersed in the history, the legacies, the issues, good or bad, in Latin America, And even in my own personal history of Panama, where I come from, where my ancestors came from, even within my family, it has spurred conversations about the same thing, where we come from, our ancestry, even more so because we've always spoke about that. But especially my father, he is especially interested in this work because he can't even believe it because he had never had that kind of information or education growing up. So for him to now see his daughter doing it, he's very much interested about these topics. We talk about it all the time. He learns new things every time I bring up a conversation. So I feel that by learning more about Latin America in general and everything that comprises it makes me a more well-rounded, educated individual in terms of personal growth and in terms of me as an individual in this world and in society and what I choose to contribute, what I say, who I surround myself with, what campaigns or ideologies that I choose to align myself with, what organizations I support and align myself with. It's more thoughtful and deliberate because I'm more informed. And I feel that that's the key. The key is being informed. So I think I've grown tremendously in the past 2 years because I'm able to completely immerse myself within these topics.